welcome back to This Week in History. You know who I am, so let's just get this party started. On May 3rd in 752, Jaguar IV, or Yaxchilan Ba'alam, was crowned king of the Maya in his hometown of Yaxchilan. His mother's name was Lady Evening Star, by the way. In 1849, the Dresdner Maiaufstand uprisings began, ending on the fourth and total failure, with 3,000 revolutionaries facing off against 5,000 Saxon and Prussian troops. Over 400 were killed or wounded, and over 1,000 people were captured. Yes, it was a total failure. That's not just like my opinion, man. On May 4th in 1415, the Council of Constance declared Jan Hus and John Wycliffe as heretics. This led to Hus's eventual execution by being burned at the stake, and because he was already dead and you can't kill a dead man, but you can still burn him, so Wycliffe's remains were dug up and burned. Tad on the petty side there. To get a better understanding of why they would do something like this, we actually sent a reporter out to have a word with them. Let's take a look at that footage. Ah, damn it. Yeah, they always freak out at the talking squirrel. Moving on. In 1776, Rhode Island became the first colony to officially renounce King George III. I'm guessing he passed some kind of clam tax or something. In 1836, the Ancient Order of Hibernians, an Irish Catholic fraternity, was established. I have so many questions about that name. On May 5th in 1215, rebel barons, mostly from northern and eastern England, denounced their allegiance to King John, which ended up well because it helped lead to the Magna Carta. In 1821, Napoleon died in his second exile at St. Helena. First exile there, second exile overall. His cause of death is still unknown. It may have been an ulcer or stomach cancer. He could have been poisoned or accidentally poisoned himself. The jury's still pretty much out on it. In 1862, the Battle of Puebla took place as part of the Second French Intervention of Mexico. This is where Cinco de Mayo comes from. It was pretty much the only victory Mexico had in the invasion, and France ended up abandoning the whole thing after they conquered the country, established the Second Mexican Empire, and put Emperor Maximilian I in power. He ended up dying by firing squad. On May 6th of 1527, the city of Rome was sacked by Spanish and German troops, and by many accounts this pretty much ended the Renaissance. So thanks a lot, guys, great going. In 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act was passed by the U.S. Congress, which prohibited the immigration of Chinese laborers. They'd already banned Chinese women in 1875. This wasn't repealed until 1943. On May 7th in 1664, construction on the Palace of Versailles began under the eyes of Louis XIV. And on a semi-related note, in 1697, the royal castle in Stockholm was burned down. Little side note here, Stockholm has a ridiculous history when it comes to fires. Every so often, could be 4 or 5 years between, could be 30, for hundreds of years, everything would be going fine, and then suddenly out of nowhere, a fifth of the damn city burns down. They went so far as to ban wooden buildings. At 1501 it was so bad, but they kept building wooden outhouses because, you know, priorities, man. Stockholm was basically the municipal version of spontaneous human combustion. And then there's this.
I'm so overjoyed to be with you, and this is why I was almost cut up for pumpkin pie.
What the fuck? On May 8th of 1541, Hernando de Soto saw the Mississippi River for the first time. He would eventually become the first European documented to cross it. In 1886, John Pemberton began selling his medical tonic Coca-Cola, and you can find out more about that by clicking the eye above my head. Also, don't forget to check out those links in the description and them fun little like and or subscribe buttons we got down there as well. On May 9th in 1726, after a raid on a Molly House, which was the name for more or less a homosexual brothel, though they could have been inns or taverns, but mostly they were just underground places where gay men could meet up, known as Mother Claps. Yeah, I'll just let that one sink in for a second. 40 men were arrested and 5 were executed for sodomy, or as English put it, this isn't a joke, it was the legal term, buggery. And finally in births this week, we've got President Harry Truman in 1884, renowned poet and playwright Robert Browning in 1812, and writer of The Prince among many other works, Niccolò Machiavelli was born this week in 1469. And it looks like that's just going to about do it for this week, but we'll be back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. We hope to see you back here with us. Come check it out.